Alright y'all, welcome back to the channel, and today we're out here getting some work done and trying not to get eaten by some flies. But as you can see behind me, I've got the tractor in the edge of the food plot here, and we need to start prepping this food plot for this fall's deer season. It's the beginning of June, which is when I like to start getting out here and doing a little bit of prep work. That way we can plant come about mid-August or so. So I figured in this food plot this year, I'd bring you guys along and do kind of a 2 or 3 video little series. That way you can follow along with how I build this food plot. So that way when we come and hunt it this fall, you guys can see what goes into it. Now right off the bat, there's a million different ways that people like to put their food plots in. So I'm not out here today trying to tell you guys exactly how you should put your food plot in, because everybody's got a different setup or different experiences than what we have here. I've planted this area for 3 years now, I believe, and it's done very well for me. I've killed a nice buck out of it last year. And over those last few years, I have figured out a little bit of what works and what doesn't work in this area here. So the game plan for today is right off the bat, we're not putting in an entire food plot today. On the tractor behind me, I've got a 4-foot bush hog. We're gonna come in here and start off by bush hogging all of this down. We'll take a look in a second, but it's kind of a whole bunch of stuff in there right now that we really don't care about. So I don't mind mowing it down at all. And then after we get it mowed, I'm going to switch to a different tractor with a tiller on the back. And we're going to come in here and till us up 1 layer of dirt in here and get rid of all the weeds and the grass or whatever else that's growing up in here. Now, yes, you do not need any of this equipment, any of the fancy tractors or mowers or tillers or anything like that to put a food plot in. But if you do have access to them, they make life a lot easier. But that's what I have access to for this food plot. And I've got a second one I'm going to be putting in here shortly as well that I'm going to film over the next few months and put out probably beginning of September timeframe, the whole process of me building that food plot, because it's going to be completely built from scratch where it's never been touched before, and it's going to be completely hand tools. So if that's what you have, stick around for that video, because it'll be coming out here in a few months after I get everything done on that food plot. Because I figured that would be a lot better to put all in one video, except doing a couple video series like this one's going to be. So let's go take a look at what's in here and how the land lays out. That way you guys can get a little bit of an idea of what we're doing and how we're working with it. Alright, so first up here we have the top side of this food plot. It goes right up to the edge of that tree line you see right to the left of that old building, all the way up almost to the edge of that old building, and right over to this tree line that runs right down into here. As for size, the trees you see right in front of me right there are probably about 20 yards from me. That building up there is probably about 30 to 35 yards. So it's definitely nothing big whatsoever. And what we see in here now are the leftovers of last year's food plot, and definitely some weeds and stuff growing up in here. There's a mix of like a little bit of winter wheat still in here, some oats, some ryegrass. There's still a little bit of red clover in here, like right over here from a few seasons ago that I tried to play around with. And the deer here in Virginia did not touch that red clover. But this is the top area that we need to mow. And now we're looking at the lower area that we need to come in here and mow and till as well. Now to the tree line right there is probably 25 yards or so. And it loops around this cedar tree right here in the middle, down into the bottom down there. At the farthest point is probably about 40 yards away from me right now. And this all has pretty much the same stuff in it. This wheat, ryegrass, weeds, that kind of stuff growing up in it. So I really don't care about mowing this or tilling over it or anything like that. Alright, so I'm going to go over here and hop on the tractor. We'll bush hog all of this area out, and then we'll take a look at it real quick before I go get the tiller out. Alright y'all, so that took me roughly 15 minutes to do the lower and the upper field. We're in the lower field now, and as you can see, I mowed it down pretty low here, and I wanted to do that on purpose. So that way when we came in here and tilled, we'd have less to deal with. You can see all the way down there in the bottom too, nice and mowed down. Even up here in our top field, got it all nice and mowed down. The edges don't have to be perfect. The deer are not going to care one bit if your lines are perfectly straight or anything like that. But either way, we got everything nice and mowed down and ready for the tiller. And another thing to mention, if y'all are mowing or tilling or anything like that in taller grass, clean the grills off on your tractor when you're done mowing, because you will pack it full and you will overheat the tractor eventually if you don't clean it. Alright, so now that we're done bush hogging everything, as you can see, we've upgraded tractor a little bit back there, and now we've got a 5-foot tiller on the back of it, and we're going to come in here and till everything that we just mowed. Now, I'm sure if somebody already hasn't commented on it, that they will be right now, about why am I not spraying this stuff and killing it before I'm doing anything else with it. And here's what I have found over the past several years of doing this food plot here. If you have a tiller, you do not have to spray anything. If you come in here and mow everything down and till it at least 2 or 3 times, you will not have any weed problems when you go to plant. So what I do with this area here is I come in here and I mow it, then I'll till it sometime beginning to mid-June, just like we're doing now. I'll wait 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks, somewhere in that range, depending on the weather, and then I'll come in here and I'll till it again, usually sometime just before or just after the 4th of July. And then I'll wait another 3 to 4 weeks once we get real close to August, and I'll till it again for the 3rd time. And usually by then, there's nothing left in here and nothing is going to grow for at least another month or 2. So that's why I don't spray in here. I don't waste the money on it, and the time that I spend might add up to an hour and a half to 2 hours worth of tilling time, maybe. And maybe a half a tank of diesel fuel, so call it 2 or 3 gallons. And in my mind, that cost is much, much lower than that of coming in here and spraying it once, twice, 3 times, whatever I would need. It's just not worth it. It's much easier to till it. All right, so let's go over here and start tilling. I'll take you guys along for a minute, a couple clips of me tilling it, and then we'll take a look at it afterwards and explain our process and what we're gonna plan on doing from there. Alright, and with that, about 25 minutes worth of tilling, and we've got ourselves a nice tilled up food plot. And now, yes, like I said before, this is not going to be perfect. It's still got a bunch of this little grass clippings and everything else that got cut off, but that's perfectly fine for what we're doing. Everything down in the lower area here, nice and tilled up and ready for us to keep on working on it over the next month to 2 months or so, as well as our upper field here. It's all nice and tilled, but as you can see, all the way up to that tree line up there, all the way down, we got our tree stand right up there on that tree, and our lower portion right down there, nice and tilled up and ready to go as we keep working on it here. Alright, so we got everything mowed, we got everything tilled, and everything's good to go for today. We accomplished the goal of what we needed to get done. Now, as for the plan going forward, what I'm going to do, how this is going to work. It's currently June 8th, 9th, something like that. I'm going to be out of town for the 4th of July. So what I'm planning on doing is tilling it again right before I leave to go out of town for the 4th of July here. That will be till number 2 on this. By that point, we shouldn't really see a whole lot of any of this little thatch and straw and weeds and stuff like that in it anymore. But then I'm going to wait another 3 to 4 weeks or so, and at some point right at the beginning of August, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to till it again and then plant sometime early to mid-August time frame. That's the goal, and that's how I like to set this up. So we will, over the next couple months, have another video or two about the process and the progress on this little food plot here, what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. And at the end of it all, I'm going to do a little bit of a wrap up of what I did, how much time I spent on it, and how much money I spent on it. It's not going to be a lot, and more than likely, the cost of the seed is going to be where most of the money's at. So with that being said, keep an eye out in the next couple of months, probably closer to September, when I drop the video of how we did a food plot from complete scratch with nothing but hand tools, because that's going to be a really interesting one and a really, really unique scenario and a really strange and really neat setup with some big deer potential in there this year. But with that being said, thank you guys for watching and liking and subscribing to the channel. I really do appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments or concerns or suggestions or anything like that, leave me a comment and let me know, and I'll try to get through them and answer them all for you. Like I said before, there's a million different ways to do a food plot. My way may not be the best way in your scenario, and that's perfectly fine. But leave me a comment and let me know what you think about all this, and is that something that you guys might want to see, is a few more videos on this, and especially that video that I plan on making about that other food plot and that whole scenario. That's going to be really, really interesting. But it's hot, it's lunchtime, and I'm getting hungry, so I'm going to go put the tractors away, clean them all up, and stay tuned because we got plenty more content coming, not only for shooting, but also things like this, food plots, tree stand moving, and all that stuff that we still have to do. So stick around. And with that being said, I'll see y'all in the next one.